Hey everyone, this is a emergency podcast, and I'm actually recording this at 2:32 in the morning. You're probably wondering, well, why are you recording a podcast so late or so early, depending on your perspective? Recording a podcast during the morning. It's been a couple hours since the Miami Heat clinched their berth to the NBA Finals. I'm pretty stoked about that. Everybody knows I'm a diehard Heat fan, 31 years and counting. I've been on this, I ain't gonna say bandwagon because it's not a bandwagon. I've been a diehard fan since frickin' Glenn Rice and Ronnie Cycli were on this team. This year in general has seen a lot of obviously a lot of lows, mostly lows, especially with the COVID-19 and I'm not even trying to make it put sports on a pedestal for myself in terms of importance, but sports is supposed to be a getaway, if you will, kind of like away from the real world, and and even my sports world has been terrible. Every team I root for in football, the Giants, they're terrible. They're 0-3. They're gonna be worst team in football probably this year. Worst, them and the Jets, worst team in football so far. College football, Florida State Seminoles stink. They just played Miami. My favorite rivalry of all time. My favorite rivalry in all sports, collegiate or professional. Florida State and Miami. They played Saturday. They got destroyed. 52-10. I turned it off in the third quarter because I was done. My Mets stink this year, but that's nothing new. That's been over 32 years of most disappointment. The Heat have always been the one team that I can always rely on to come through. And, this team was unlikely to get this far. Now, I gotta be honest with you, though. I did say before the year started, now granted, that was literally a year ago, because when you include the break from COVID-19, the break between March and July, before we went to the bubble, I did say the Heat would be the 3 seed in the East this year. They were the 5 seed, but they were definitely better than people gave them credit for, or thought they're going to be. I did say that the ceiling was possibly the conference finals, but it was realistically speaking probably going to be the second round of the playoffs. I thought come to the year that, you had Milwaukee, of course, with Giannis, and what he did last year too as well. They would duplicate that again. You had, of course, Philadelphia this year with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid have very high expectations for their ball club. I thought this Boston team that we just beat last night, whatever, was going to be pretty good. I thought Miami would be in the mix, but I didn't know if I thought that the second round of playoffs was probably more realistic. If they got some breaks, maybe the conference finals. What a playoff run this has been, honestly. Indiana, sweeping through Indiana, beating Milwaukee in 5 games, beating Boston in 6. And I'll admit, and I said this on social media before the series started, and I got a lot of blowback on this from a lot of people, friends, family, you name it, that I had Boston in 6 games because I thought this was a bad matchup for the Heat. People say, well, why would you, take Boston in 6 even though they beat Milwaukee, even though the Heat beat Milwaukee, who was a far better team. And, to me, again, NBA basketball's about matchups in the day. And I always thought we matched up on Milwaukee. Boston has a lot more spread out talent, top level talent spread out across the roster. I also thought that Kemba Walker would be a major factor in the series. And he had moments in the series where he was definitely hard to deal with, but he got a lot of foul trouble and all that, and eventually things came to a head. And the Heat got able to keep under control. This is great. I watched the game tonight, Game 6. It was truly one for the ages. The whole series was really, really phenomenal. I ended up, like I said, I'll admit I teared up after the game because I was actually getting like 2006 vibes when the Heat won their first title. This Heat team is easily one of my 3 favorite Heat teams ever. And I'm talking about 31, 32 teams that have existed through their entire history. I always said the 93-94 team was special to me because it was the first Heat team that won the first winning season, won 42-40 out in the first round. Nothing special necessarily for anybody else, but for me personally, that team always held some importance to me. The 2012-2013 Heat team with LeBron, that was LeBron's third year for the Big Three, all special to me as well too. And obviously the pressure of that team, the blueprint and all that. It was a fun team though. It was a fun year. That was a 27-game winning streak. That was the team that won 66 games, and yet San Antonio pushed us to the limit, pushed them to the limit. That team's special too because all my all-time favorite players on that team too. Ray Allen, Ray Allen's on that team, and I love Ray Allen, and that was fun times as well too. But this Heat team, man, gosh, the mixture of players on this roster, the savvy vets, Iguodala and Jay Crowder, obviously Jimmy Butler and whatnot, and and the youth, the rookies, and Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. Then you have the young players who are becoming stars, and Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic. There's such a great mix. I knew from the word go this year, this team was special. I didn't think it'd be NBA Finals special, but I knew it was special when the year started with Goran Dragic, taking a role off the bench because Eric Spoelstra said it was important for him that they needed him to be the spark plug off the bench, and start off this year, before the Justice Winslow trade. Again, all this feels like years ago because of COVID, but prior to the Justice Winslow trade, where he was arguably in the mix for Sixth Man of the Year. That's how well Goran was playing throughout the year. He was in the mix for Sixth Man of the Year. Trade Winslow, and then Goran's our point guard, starting point guard. This team, the vibe of this team from the word go. When Jimmy Butler, and it's kind of fitting too, also that Jimmy Butler today or the day of the game when they won, last night, kind of fitting that the anniversary of Jimmy Butler signing to Miami last year was literally yesterday, and literally a year later during the NBA Finals. And this is another guy who has been around the league a little bit last couple of years, especially, Chicago to Minnesota to Philadelphia and out of Miami, trying to find a home, find a culture that facilitated his attitude, his want to win. Obviously Minnesota had a lot of button heads there because of playing with Anthony Towns and Wiggins, and then Philadelphia having button heads there too. And I remember last year when he came to Miami, and many people were talking about how he made a mistake. He should stay in Philadelphia because it's a winning ball club. Funny how it works out now. And now he's not in the NBA Finals this year before Philadelphia is with all that talent. To me, this is about Eric Spoelstra, what I've been waving the flag for the last 10 years now, over 10 years, about his greatness. And people saying, oh, well, he has LeBron and Wade and Bosh. He should be able to win. This season validates Eric Spoelstra as, if not the best coach in basketball, certainly top 2 or 3. Without question. This right here validates everything I've been saying about Eric Spoelstra for the last decade. I mean, we're going back to FireSpo.com. We're going back to 10 years ago when the Big Three started and they went 9-8, and I got FireSpo.com as a thing. Again, culture. Pat Riley believing in him and believing in his team. Whether or not it was the Big Three Heat, whether or not it was the team that in 2016 was one game from the conference finals but had a lot of injuries, or this team. The culture still prevails. Now, as I said, it's a quick podcast. I'm not spending a lot of time here. It's 2:30 in the morning. Playing the Lakers, obvious storyline. LeBron's old team against against him. Lakers Heat. Right now, if I had to do a quick prediction right now, 3 days out for the first game, I have Lakers in 6. I think the Lakers are a 2-man team, really, to be honest with you. It's LeBron and Anthony Davis. And I don't know. I mean, you've seen this first 3 rounds of the playoffs. When they are on, they're unstoppable. We'll see how it goes. I do think, however, that he have a good chance to win this series. And let me tell you why. I'm not saying they're going to win the series. I'm saying they have a good chance. Let me tell you why. Because the Lakers are a 2-man team. there is no consistent third player to step up. And it hasn't been really for pretty much. I mean, the best player really on the team has been Caldwell Pope. And again, that may not be a thing going forward in the series. Who knows? But if Ben Adebayo can make Anthony Davis work, I'm not saying to stop him, but he can make him work. And then the Heat have enough bodies. Again, you're not going to stop LeBron. You're not going to stop LeBron, but there are bodies on that roster that can limit LeBron's effectiveness. Between Jay Crowder, Jimmy Butler, who am I in there? Andre Iguodala, who won MVP against LeBron back in 2015. So there's a lot of bodies on that team that can limit, his effectiveness. Again, I'm not going to say to win the series, but this can be competitive. And he'd have shooters. The best way to limit LeBron James in a series is shooting. With Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and some of the players on the team that can shoot the ball. If the Heat get off from 3 in this series, this could be dangerous to the Lakers. But right now, as I'm sitting here now, 3 days out, and again, I can change my mind in the next coming days when I do another podcast. I do have the Lakers in 6 because it does feel destined for LeBron to get his 4th ring. But I will say this much though, in closing here, the Heat are right now playing with house money and have been really since the second round of playoffs. So, but again, I'm just overjoyed of where we're at now. I'm so happy that I was wrong on my prediction about Boston in 6. Thank God. Yeah, that's about that. I'm just really, really happy. Again, when all other teams, Mets, Giants, and Seminoles, are failing and continue to fail me, the Heat come through as always. And this is why I've been a fan 31 years. So, congrats to Miami Heat. Congrats to Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley, and the rest of that roster. So, NBA Finals, 3 days from now. And we'll be doing podcasts on that throughout the finals. And we have some guests on there too as well. Media personalities, surrounding the Heat and all that. Even the Lakers too. I got a lot of friends. Mark Francois, big Laker fan. This could be interesting, him and I. So, till then, again, congrats Miami Heat. I can't stop smiling. This is amazing. So, I'm going to bed now because it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Take care, guys.